Fairy tales. I think I did a audio recording on fairy tales not too long ago, and I know I did one on being that man's piece, but I want to approach both topics slightly differently. I was thinking about the story Beauty and the Beast earlier today, and I was thinking about how in the story, Beauty is, a young girl, and she doesn't really have many prospects for her romantic life. The men in the village, from the scene that you get when the story opens, seems like they're all kind of out of her age range, and there's not really any eligible single bachelors except for Gaston. And Gaston appears to be a narcissist. He appears to be completely absorbed with what some people like to call main character syndrome. Now, we all should have main character energy. We should all act like we are the main character in our own lives. But there's a problem when you think that you should be the main character in everybody else's life, and that everyone else's life should revolve around you and serving you and placating you and pleasing you and doing what you want and being at your beck and call. And it does definitely seem that he feels that Beauty should be centered on him and pleasing him and becoming his woman. And he isn't concerned about her at all. But in the eyes of the village, it seems that the village has accepted his image, his good guy image. And this is the problem sometimes with the good guy or the nice guy. As the audience, who is not a part of this village, we can look at Gaston and we can see that he's self-centered, he's selfish, he's full of himself and conceited and arrogant and rude. We can see all these things, but it doesn't seem that anybody else in the village can. Now, what if you were Beauty in this sense, and you are trying to explain to people why you're not interested in Gaston? And every time you tell them one of these traits that's so obvious to us outside of this village, they try to tell you, no, you're wrong, you're misinterpreting things, your standards are too high, your expectations are unrealistic, and all you really want is just a decent man who actually thinks about you. But because they don't see what you see, they think that you're ridiculous, ludicrous. And that's, again, a problem with guys that declare themselves a nice guy or a good man, or even other people who may see that guy a certain way, and they don't see what you see, having been alone with him. And that's another thing that happens sometimes when women are alone with men, whether it's on a date, whether it's being picked up in their car, whether it's on a private conversation, or even in being DM'd by this person. Sometimes these guys drop their mask, and you get to see a side of them that the public doesn't see. That's a whole nother thing. But then here you come to the Beast, and he kidnaps her. But he's actually the love interest that is developed in this whole story, because the story is that he has been cursed. His true appearance has been hidden by a spell because he was rude and arrogant and hurtful to some witch in the past. And so she has hidden his true appearance, and the love of a good woman is going to transform him from a beast into the man that you want to be with. And think about the message that that's sending to young girls and to women, that we can meet a tortured soul. We can meet a man who is scarred by his childhood or by his previous relationships or by life. And he may be acting like a beast, but we can see the potential in him. We can see the good in him. We can see that underneath that beast, there's really a good guy, really a good man. And our love is what can transform him. But nowhere in this story is there even the idea that Beauty could save herself and tell Beast, hey, I wish you the best, but you got to get some therapy. I'm not going to try to sift through all of your beastly qualities looking for that diamond in the rough and love you till that diamond in the rough becomes real. I'm not going to put my life on hold trying to save you from yourself and from the trauma that you have been transformed by. I'm going to go live my life. And if you get to a point where you're healed and you're human and you know how to express your emotions and, you know, you have emotional availability and regulation and self-control and all these things, you can look me up then. And I think we need some fairy tales like that, where the woman doesn't have to save herself and the man too. Where the woman doesn't have 3 bad choices. You know, it kind of reminds me of how on Facebook or on Instagram or even on TikTok sometimes you'll have these 4 boxes. And all of the 4 boxes are bad choices. And you're told you have to pick one. It's like that's what Beauty was given. You know, 3 bad choices. Men that were really not appropriate for her because of age or, you know, other things. And then Gaston and then the Beast. And that's all she's got to pick from. But she can choose herself. And a lot of women now are saying, you know, if all you're giving me is men that are really inappropriate or men who are narcissists or men who are beasts, I'm going to choose myself. And if one of those men decides to grow up and heal and change and become a good, healthy partner, then I will consider him. But until that time, I'm ready to be a beauty without a beast. May you walk in Zennurgy. Fairy tales. I think I did a audio recording on fairy tales not too long ago. And I know I did one on being that man's piece. But I want to approach both topics slightly differently. I was thinking about the story Beauty and the Beast earlier today. And I was thinking about how in the story, Beauty is, you know, a young girl